Yo, what's good YouTube? Anti-Yami here, back with another video. And of course, Merry Christmas and all that fun jazz. I'm recording this the day after Christmas or whatnot, but I hope everybody had a great Christmas. And I am giving you guys the gift of a really cool deck. I've been testing this deck for almost a week now, and it's been clapping up. I only been really practicing in the recent meta, like after the ban list, but before all the new support. So I haven't really played against Labyrinth or the Transaction Rollback or the new Power Fire Kings or the Snake Eye support. So I haven't really been testing through that, but do testing through everything else, like regular Labyrinth and things like that. This deck has been performing very well. And yeah, so I just want to kind of get into it. It's a very fun deck. The ratios are very like thought out, right? Because we lost Agito and we also lost Kelbeck. So not only that they were mill 5, sometimes they can double up as like hand traps and stuff like that. It's been times where I actually kill back, opponents and stuff like that, and things of that nature. So not only did we lose a mill 5, we also kind of lose like a like an inconsistent hand trap. So with that being said, we have to find ways to like mill, and we gotta make sure that our mills are very good. And that's where the Orcust cards come in, because if you mill a Nightmare, it's full Orcust combo. If you mill a Harp Horror, it's full Orcust combo. And there's really cool cards in combinations when you mill that can also help you just like shoot your game state in the future. So there's a lot of cool like combos and stuff like that. I'm not sure I'll go over in this video, but if you guys want me to go over like certain combo lines or test hands, I will show you guys how I'll play this deck, because it's very controlled heavy. It's super control heavy and super follow up heavy. It's not like, super make 19 negates and stuff like that. So as long as you can live to next turn, you pretty much win the game. So without further ado, let's hop into the deck list. So we have the triple Rhino Heart. I feel like this card is mandatory. I wish people would stop playing Night Serpent if they're playing only 2 Rhino Hearts. I think that's really weird. Whenever people play those type of ratios, it kind of reminds me of somebody playing Magma Boot and Druid's Worm, and instead of playing like a second Druid's Worm, you're playing a Deity Crow in the spot. Like, it's just weird. Like, stop. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Now, you can play a 4th one and make it a Night Serpent. That's fine. But you need to play 3 Rhino Hearts because, one, it's a name. It's good to mill, and it's also really good to start with as well. So you want to see this card in combination of another card we're going to talk about that got bumped up in the list. But of course, the standards, we're still playing 3 on tier cash. The card's crazy. High key carries the deck. And of course, the 3 names. They're all crazy. I've actually normal summoned this more than I ever have. I resolved this in very weird spots, and this is like something you need to see on turn 1, because they really like shoot your plays, and also gets the Orcust cards out of your hands. So it's really good. Of course, we played the triple planet. I mean, it literally says Rhoda searches for any of these cards here, and it doubles up as a pop and a boost. Broken. At consistency. Of course, you play your triple screams. Now, this card is very vital. You really want to see this card, because this is how you pretty much mill more consistently. It's more of like a controlled mill versus like you build your entire deck and then go crazy. You have to play Scream, because the fact that milling on your turn and milling on your opponent's turn nets you so much advantage over a course of a match. It's insane. So you really want to open this card now. Pretty much how old tier used to be when this card first came out. You played 3 Screams, because opening Scream is just kind of like broken. So we're pretty much playing how we used to play without the millers back in the day before they came out. Then on top of that, I'm also playing triple Solic, because you really want to mill good. Like, this is not bad to open, because you can also mill Rhino Heart. That's why you play 3, because if you mill Rhino Heart while it's in your hand, then it becomes a Rhoda. And then same thing with the Scream, stuff like that. So like all these cards have like really good synergy with each other, and you want to max them out because you want to mill it. They're not bad to open, and they're just really insane. And of course, we play the one Triple Karma because it's still insane. I would not play this card without Flush Burial Goods. because you definitely need the consistency of this deck. I don't think the consistency of the deck went down by any means, but I feel like the ratios on how you play the deck and stuff like that definitely changed. So, going into like the Orcust package, you play the triple Nightmare Orcust or Orcust Nightmare, because either opening this card, discarding off of Sharon is really, really strong. Also, there's a card in the extra deck that can also discard this card out of your hand, which is really strong, which is the board blocker. You have to play that card. Like, there's been times where I just feel like it doesn't seem like it should come up, but it does. And also it doubles up as follow-up. You can add back a Tear Planet or, you know, whatever. So, recommend it, really, really strong. And also, of course, Barricade Board Blocker sending this card because there's no other real way to get this card out of your hand. At least in this deck. So, double Orcust symbol skeleton. It's really, really broken. I like two because I guess I explain it more once we get to the extra deck, but you can play this card as a one-of, but you have to play two dings because, like, juggling one symbol skeleton and one ding is a lot of carry, especially in grind game. So the second one is there for, like, very, very good coverage. And sometimes when you mill really funny, you can actually, like, mill symbol skeleton plus, like, Gearsu and pop off from there too. So it's really, really, really strong. One Orcust Harp. Weird, you know, this card is just like, it's insane. Like, it's the missing link that this deck was missing, because like the fact that it can E-Telly the main target, the Gearsu, and then Gearsu basically becomes a Foolish Burial, and it just adds an extra body on board, and it's insane. Like, we never had a format in the TCG where Orcust Horror and Gearsu were in the same format. I'm sure this was like this in the OCG, where I think this was at 1, and I think, Harp was at 1 for the longest time, but in the TCG, we never really had both of these cards in the same format. So, I only play one Gearsu because you do not want to normal summon this card in this deck, because if that gets hand trapped, and a lot of people need to understand that, like, if you don't have an extender, and it's really hard to have an extender in the Orcust deck unless you're playing like the King Sarcophagus stuff, which I don't trust that package until we get the Fill Spell and new support. But yeah, so you don't want to summon this because the token effect really never comes up. It comes up mostly when I go second and I want to make a dark and like base some stuff out like that, but it never goes into like activate tokens and then you go into a Galatea. Usually you Gearsu into Harp and you go full combo from there. So it's really, really insane. But yeah, you want to special summon this from the deck for the most part, or the graveyard. You never want to normal summon it. It's literally a bait. Don't do it. Unless you're playing, I guess the King Sarcophagus build, then yeah, you can play 3 of those, but like, trust me, it's not worth it. Especially in this deck. I want to reserve my normal summon for Rhino Heart. Then after that, we're gonna wrap it up with the World Wine. This card is insane. And of course, we played the Orcust Crescendo, and we played Babel. I just recently cut the Orchestrated Return because in certain hands it's not live. I barely resolve it, and the times I do, I was already winning. So to me, it just felt like a win more card, and I didn't want to like break on it on times where I didn't open Orcust. So yeah, that's the reason why I cut it. I just felt like I rather have more starters in my deck, and I'll show you what card I cut it for in a second. Of course, I still play the Shufflers. I think they're broken, especially going into a Fire King format, and Labyrinth is still a thing. Like, the Shufflers still wreck a lot of matchups, a ton of matchups, and the fact that I use a lot of times too to shuffle your own stuff back for like the tier fill spell, or sometimes you just shuffle back just for like more grind and stuff like that. I think these cards are basically uncuttable in my opinion. I think it's great. Unless we're going to like a Graveyard Hate format where you're seeing a lot of Dwellers and you're seeing a lot of like, shifter decks like Cash Tier and stuff like that, then you can take these cards out. But like in this format, I think these cards go crazy. Of course, we play the Danger package. We do not play King of the Swamps around in this building. The reason why you really don't play King of the Swamp in this deck is because it's the extra deck is really tight, right? So if you add King of the Swamp plus like Poly, you can't add like Rukalos, you can't add you know, I can't think of his name, not the Danger, but the Dark World, Grappa. And you can't play the Cerberus. I can't even think of his name, but the one that pops 3. Because the extra deck is just super tight. So with the package like this, it's really easy to go into Garua and Mud Dragon, and of course with the Mud Dragon can lead into a Toad normally to protect most of your plays. Wrapping in for the spells, or the last bit of spells, I play 1 Foolish Burial and 2 Foolish Burial Goods. I cut the returns for another Foolish Burial Good, and I'm glad I did, because every single time I legit draw this card, it's like you just see so much engine, because this can act as a terraforming. This also can act as a you can dump Solic for tier cash, and then, you know, go from there. Like, a lot of times they can set you up for like a mill 5, which again, we're trying to focus on like milling 5 and like milling everything basically, right? Because I want my mills to be very good, and when I mill, I always tend to hit something very, very, very good, and then from there you just combo off. So, and of course, Foolish Burial. Obviously it's a 1-card Orcust combo, but sometimes I'll Foolish Burial into Rhinoheart and then get my play started with that. So it's really, really strong. Or you could dump a, you know, a tier name, whatever the situation is. This deck is not very straightforward, and it takes a lot of your mental capacity to play it really well. And then the last 3 cards, which rounds it up to 440, we play Super Poly. I think Super Poly is broken in the format. It's so broken. There's so many fire decks that's running around. They're all fire attributes. It wrecks. Sometimes I win against Medanium, and then they end on the Baron plus Appaloosa, so I just like Super Poly that. It's kind of good in the tier. I don't like this card in the tier mirror match. A lot of times I slide it out for like Ash Blossoms or, you know, something else that can like combat the field a little bit better. But good versus Branded, good versus, again, Labyrinth, and any deck that says fire. So I think this card is insane. Every time I draw this card, I feel like I win. It's literally broken. Okay. Going into the extra deck, I'll go through it really fast. Garua, standard. Mud Dragon, standard. Dragostopalia, standard. And Kaleido Heart, standard. We just play these 4. These right here are just generic M tier in my opinion. If you're not playing the King of the Swamp, I don't think you go into like, you always start off with your fusion plays, but they're not like you need a fusion, right? So if you get hit with like a D-Berry or whatever, you can still push through a board with your Links and XYZs. Going into the Orcust extra deck, we play the double Galatea and 1 Ding. I had 2 dings, but I cut one of the dings for a Boracay board blocker, because if you're really good with the deck, you don't really need the 3rd or the 2nd ding, because you got Symbol, you have, I've seen it get banished before, and then I brought it back with the Wand. Like, this card is retrievable. If it's anywhere in the extra deck, graveyard, banish, unless it's not banished face down, you can retrieve it. So I don't think you need it, and if worst case scenario you want to put this back into your deck, you can actually shuffle it back for King of the Swamp or a Mud Dragon. So yeah, and the reason why you play double Galatea is because there's some inboards where you'll like make Galatea, then you overlay for Ding, and then Ding attach, and then you'll like send Ding away for another Galatea. I'm not going to talk about why in this particular file, but yeah, you will. There's some hands where that is a necessary play instead of going for IP Masquerader or something like that. Of course, we got the Boracay board blocker, the SP Little Knight card's broken. In this deck, you got the 1 Dark, and then you got the 1 IP Masquerena. You're playing Orcust. I think IP Masquerena is a standard mandatory card. Dark is just broken. The number of like dark monsters I just take from my opponent is insane. And again, you're dark locked most of the time, and it's funny because your first pushes is your water monsters with your Rhino Hearts, your Mud Dragon, your cash, tier cash, but the rest of your deck is straight dark. So like the dark lock in your deck doesn't really matter at all. You play the one Time Thief for Doer, the one Sky Crisis card's insane. Won me so many games versus decks that like to sit on big monsters, like combo decks. And it's really insane with the Super Poly, of course. The one Bahama Shark and one Totally Awesome to play through hand traps. This is what the tier push tries to do when going first. Is that you'll like usually you'll have a Shaylin plus like Rhino Heart, and then like you'll hit a fusion, and then you will like make a Mud Dragon, or I keep saying Mud Dragon, King of the Swamp or whatever, and then you overlay into a Bahama Shark, and then you summon Toad, and Toad is usually your 4th or 5th summon. And that plays around like Nid, that plays around a lot of the hand traps. A lot of the times when people think that they're gonna try to stop your Orcust cards, like they try to Ash the Nightmare or Ash the like whatever, then it's too late at this point. And Totally Awesome being follow-up in this deck is so insane. Like this card does it all. It's so good. It's Aqua, so you can help go into like Kaleido Heart and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very insane. It's a great deck. It's very fun. It's very rewarding. And it took me a long time, well, I'll say like 3 or 4 days to kind of like understand what the deck was meant to do. But yeah, it's a very strong deck, and I think it's a solid choice for the meta. I wouldn't say it's like tier 1 by any means. It could be tier 1, I don't know. But I just feel like the other decks just have a better consistency gap, and also just a high ceiling and better grind. So, but like this deck doesn't lose a Droll, which is very good. So yeah, Orcust cards, if you're scared of Droll, Orcust is the way to go. So anyway, guys, thank you guys for all watching. I hope you guys had a great holiday, and let me know what you guys think about the deck profile, and try it out for yourself. It's really fun. It's very explosive. All right, guys, peace.